Emma Jackson held her coat tightly around her body as she hurried down the cold, dark sidewalk toward her house. Being a full-time student, she always frequented the local library down the street at least twice a week to help her get her studies done. But tonight she had good reason to end those studies early. News of the 7th serial rapist attack in the nearby town had caused her quite a bit of alarm, so she decided that tonight would be the best night to end things early and get home as quick as possible. The quiet neighborhood seemed normal as she hurried down the sidewalk, but she still kept her pace quickened because she did not want to take any chances. Reaching her house, she hurried to the front door and unlocked it, let herself in, and shut it back tight behind her as quickly as possible. She secured the deadbolt lock, secured the chain link lock, and made sure the lock and the knob was secure as well. After that, she allowed a little bit of relief to wash over her. Turning on the lights and tossing the keys on the nearby stand, she made her way to the answering machine to make sure that she hadn't missed any calls that evening. After checking that, she decided to go about her normal nightly routines. First order of business on this chilly night, a tall cup of hot chocolate in the kitchen to ward off that cold. She made her way toward the kitchen door, and just as she started to enter it, she caught the surprise of a lifetime. A force, a strange, strong force slammed into her chest, knocking her backwards, sending her almost sprawling to the floor behind her. She caught her balance and managed to keep herself from falling, but she stood there staring at the kitchen door wondering what was that. She peered in the dark kitchen but didn't see anything. So she tried once again to step toward the kitchen door, and before she could enter, once again that force slammed into her chest, this time much harder. When she felt it hit her chest, Emma realized that she could feel the distinct imprint of a hand and fingers against her chest. This sent chills down her body. Once again, she tried to enter the kitchen door, but once again that force hit her one more time, this time knocking her flat down on the floor. Emma was totally stunned and couldn't understand what was going on in her house. As she gazed at the kitchen door, she started noticing the outline of a figure slowly appear. What seemed to be a tall, shadowy figure of a man stood there in the doorway, looking down at her. Then suddenly, as it appeared, it vanished. The phone on the table next to her rang loudly and rattled her back to her senses. Grabbing for it, she answered the phone, and before she could even say a hello, her neighbor, Mrs. Parker, erupted with alarm on the other end of the line. Emma, get out of your house now. Get out. I've called the police." "Mrs. Parker, what's going on?" "Emma, get out." "I was in my bedroom, and when I looked out, I could see inside your kitchen window. There's a man in there hiding next to the refrigerator, and he's got a knife. Get out now." It didn't take anything else to convince Emma. She pulled herself up from the floor and raced toward the front door. She reached it and started yanking the locks free, taking off the chain lock. Behind her, she heard a rustling sound in the kitchen. She didn't look back to see what was coming. She threw open that door and hightailed it out into the dark night. She made her way to Mrs. Parker's house, who let her in and kept her there until the police got there. They searched the house, and sure enough, they found the intruder, this time hiding in the bedroom closet, knife still in hand and waiting. They arrested him and took him from the house as Emma and Mrs. Parker watched. He glared at her from the backseat of the cop car as they drove away. Emma turned to Mrs. Parker and hugged her and thanked her, but then related to her what had happened and about the figure in the kitchen doorway. Smiling, Mrs. Parker said, Don't be afraid. There are angels around us to protect us. Thank you for listening, and nighty night.